You can see that black Honda. That is the vehicle that police have been chasing since about 3:45 this afternoon. This police helicopter Snoopy was initially following this car. All we heard was that they refused to stop. You see him swerving there, cutting off that truck. They went all the way down 85 to McAdenville, got back on 85 now, heading back into Charlotte right now at 485 and heading toward the airport. All right, and again, you are watching this live from Chopper 9. This vehicle headed up I-85 north, and again, we've been tracking this since about 3:55. That's when Chopper went up and started to track this vehicle. We've seen multiple cruisers trying to follow this vehicle and trying to get this person to stop, but as you can see, they are now in the fast lane, moving quickly. Looks like they have no intention of slowing down. Right now we're hearing they are near Little Rock Road as they again here on I-85. Now when this car actually left Charlotte city limits, CMPD actually stopped and Highway Patrol was helping out, but as it got back into Charlotte city limits, we saw about 6 or 7 CMPD cruisers waiting there on the highway, pulling out of a rest area and getting in behind this car. So at last check, what I saw, there were about 5 or 6 CMPD cars and at least 1 state trooper following this vehicle. We don't know exactly why this car is being followed, other than we're told it would not stop for officers. Very dangerous maneuvers here as this car is weaving in and out of traffic. Thankfully, at 409, traffic is not too heavy, but I think he's going to try to cut right over. You see a police cruiser right behind him here. Right on its tail. 4 lanes of traffic here, thankfully, Erica, not too thick, but he's going to get pretty soon into an area when he gets more north of town, there'll be heavier traffic. And this cruiser, as you see behind it, appeared to be getting just a little bit closer to it. This is a black Honda that they've been following for at least the past 15 to 30 minutes. And as you can see on the vehicle, they've got their flashers on, or they did at one point on this vehicle, the lights in the back flashing there. And again, the police have been following the vehicle for at least the past 15 to 30 minutes, traveling up I-85 northbound in West Charlotte. Looks like no intentions of slowing down, going back and forth from the fast lane all the way across the 3 to 4 lanes of traffic and then weaving back and forth. Well, now hearing that they are just crossing over Billy Graham Parkway. If you know anyone who's on I-85 in that area, you might want to give them a heads up to get over, let police get by, and certainly don't get in the way of this car. We've had several chases in the past few months, one that ended with an accident, a car being T-boned, one that ended with a state trooper having a pit maneuver and spinning that car out. That was also on I-85, but in South Carolina. And this chase here has been going on now for almost coming up on 30 minutes as the call came in at 3:45. As you said, 3:55, Chopper 9 Skyzoom got up in the air, and we caught up with it over near the Catawba River in Gaston County. And again, we're just now live at 4:11. If you're just joining us, we're in the middle of following this police chase in West Charlotte along I-85 northbound, just passing the Billy Graham Parkway area. Now this vehicle is getting off, looks like getting off on Freedom Drive. We've been following this case for about the past 15 to 30 minutes. At one point, they did speed up as they made their way to get off this exit. At least 4 to 5 CMPD cruisers behind this vehicle, at least 1 to 2 troopers we've seen following the vehicle as well. But again, we don't know exactly at this time why officials are following this. Just blew past that car, swerved around it, and now this chase is continuing along Freedom Drive now. Heading on Freedom Drive right now. It's going to be heading right toward uptown Charlotte. A lot more traffic lights, a lot more traffic. As you can see here, this is a much more dangerous situation now. Lower speeds, presumably, but a lot more obstacles for this driver to deal with, and a lot more innocent drivers on the roadway here right now that police have to be concerned about. And again, they're not exactly sure as far as why they're chasing this car, other than I believe a stop was attempted is what we heard, and this vehicle did not pull over. They just took a right right there, perhaps on Allegheny, and again in a very heavily trafficked area right now with many police cruisers in tow. And again, if it's on Allegheny right now, it's going to pass several schools. Thankfully, school is not in right now, but Philip O'Berry. Yeah, they're passing Philip O'Berry Academy and a number of other schools along this roadway. But again, this driver appears to be picking up the speed right now on roads closer into town where you're going to have, more people on the roadway, especially at this hour as we get toward the time when people will be getting off work. Chopper 9 is keeping a close eye on this vehicle.
in the shot, we see the cruiser kind of out of the picture right now, but we do know at least 4 cruisers were following this vehicle.
We've had chases before where vehicles get close to the airport. Now they're turning onto a road right here, and obviously Chopper 9 and the police helicopter cannot go within a certain distance of the airport. We don't know if they're trying to make it to the airport, if they've got that in mind.
It's like they're going into a parking lot now,
This looks like, yeah, a newly paved parking lot, shooting across this parking lot at a high rate of speed right now, trying to find some other exit, maybe not knowing that there are at least 2 helicopters up above, the Snoopy helicopter and the Channel 9 helicopter, which is always up above in these scenarios, back on a street here right now and going comparatively at a high rate of speed compared to traffic on this road.
Again, if you're just joining us right now at 4:13, we are in the middle of following a police chase. This is in the West Charlotte area, and we've watched this vehicle get off the highway, I-85, north toward the Billy Graham Parkway, got off at that exit and then turned onto Freedom Drive and then over to Allegheny, and now weaving on some inner city roads right now, and it's not slowing down. This person has been going for at least the past 30 to 45 minutes, and police are right behind them.
The general area right now is Westerly Hills between Wilkinson and Freedom Drive and I-85. This car's been making a lot of sudden turns in the right-hand turn lane, but then turning left in front of other cars. You see it coming right there to an intersection right there. That vehicle having to stop and then turning left right now. So this is a very dangerous situation out here, as this car could cause a crash or be involved in a crash at a high rate of speed. Ashley Drive is what I'm just being told by our producers. Ashley Drive is where they're at right now. I see an Ashley Road, which is again near that Westerly Hills area. Okay, so my producers are saying it is indeed Ashley Road between Wilkinson and Allegheny Street right now, generally in the West Charlotte area, not far as well from Carolina Golf Club, and there's also a Popeye's Chicken there, and Westerly Hills Park as well.
Looks like it's getting now into an area where you're going to find more homes along this road as it's passing there. It's starting to pick up its rate of speed again. This is a black Honda that police have been following for quite some time now. We followed it as it was on the highway and then got off now into some inner city roads and are traveling along Ashley Road right now, and again blowing through these intersections with abandon, really.
This is, of course, very dangerous. It is summertime right now, and even during school at 4:15, a lot of little kids would be home. There could be children on their bikes, walking in the streets, people walking their dogs, and any one of them could be in jeopardy here. As you can see, this car tearing through intersections. People assume a car will stop at a 4-way stop. This vehicle is not doing that. This is now getting to be very serious, as it is a very rural, very urban area with a lot of houses here. Some trees obscuring the view for just a second, but this car going at a high rate of speed right there. I haven't seen, because we've been in so tight on this vehicle, how close police are. They might have slowed down a bit themselves for the safety of the public.
That's right. Numerous times seen this vehicle kind of go into the opposite lane of traffic as it's trying to make these maneuvers. It's blown by other drivers. It swerved into the wrong lane. And again, it keeps making these quick, sharp turns. Once it approaches intersections, it's not slowing down, and then it just swerves past everyone coming in its path. So this vehicle is now continuing on this road past homes.
Up on the sidewalk there for a second almost, Erica.
And then just coming barely close to clipping a number of cars.
Right there, he had to stop because that flatbed was coming across. If we can maybe get an update on what road this is here and if they're going to be turning right. We're up at a major intersection. They are stopped right now and at least obeying the red light that it appears they're facing, because traffic is going in front of them. You see people turning left, but then jetting through the intersection right here. Oh, almost
coming
hit.
close.
So turning left right there, while other people had a green, those people aware enough to hit the brakes. And again, as we mentioned, this is a very dangerous situation here. Police don't want to speed as much as this driver is speeding right now, but at the same time, you want to make sure that you keep the public safe. With all the traffic on the roads, though, we just hope a pedestrian does not come into play here. Now turning into
back into a parking lot.
Look like maybe doing a U-turn there. That's a pretty defunct parking lot, as you can see. Now getting back on this side road, and in general, you wonder if they have an objective in mind or just fleeing from police. If you're just joining us right now at 4:17.
Now it had to stop for this train.
We are following this. Now,
the person just got out and ran. It looks like somebody else is in the back of the vehicle, too. But again, this person has jumped out running on foot. A man has his shirt off running there along the railroad tracks. And again, in the back of the vehicle, looked like someone was there in the back seat as well. But again, this person running right along the railroad tracks. Very close there.
You almost wonder if he's going to try to jump onto the train right there.
Look, he's right on the tracks.
Right on the tracks next to that train full of scrap metal right now. We saw this person get out of the car, and Chopper 9 is staying with them. There could be other people. Just threw his white T-shirt down on the ground. At this point, he's outpacing this slow. And did he grab the side of the train? I'm kind of obscured from view right here. It looks
like he's trying to grab onto the side of this train. And again, this person was not going to stop, but they got to this railroad track. And if you're just joining us at 4:18 right now, we have just watched
he's up there. He's on the back of the train.
person who was driving this black Honda jump out at a railroad track, run along the tracks, and now he has jumped onto this train.
I would ask the producers if you have an update on where they jumped off so I can kind of pull these tracks up on my map. But again, right now, you are looking at these live pictures of a person in a car that police was chasing who just ran down this train at this train crossing because they were stopped and has climbed up between two train cars, which in and of itself is very dangerous for him because it could end tragically if he were to fall. He might be ready to jump
Looks
off
like he's
on the
trying
other
to find
side of the
a space
tracks.
to jump off.
He's straddling there, one hand and one foot on each of the train cars right now, perhaps waiting for a moment to jump and letting go right there.
This is very dangerous. And again, we have been following the vehicle that this gentleman was in for about the past 45 minutes, watched it track along I-85 northbound in West Charlotte, got off at the Billy Graham Parkway, got off onto Freedom Drive, then Allegheny, and the vehicle stopped at this train tracks. He jumps on, rides along with it for a ways, and now this train has stopped. This person has jumped off, and he continues to flee. He abandoned the black Honda some time ago, and in the back of that vehicle looked like somebody else was in the back of the car as well.
We chose this person to follow because they got off first. Looks like a young man right here now running up into the woods. He had a white T-shirt on but took that off. Now he's slowing to a walk right. And we're hearing that the police helicopter as well is along with Chopper 9. As we caught up with Snoopy over I-85, that's how we caught up with this chase. And so when you have Channel 9 up here right now, and in the past, we have been able to use our Sky Zoom 9 to help police track down suspects. You see the police chopper right there who hid underneath trucks. It looks like Snoopy's all over this one as well. They fly at a much lower altitude than we do. For the same reason you see there, so that if they fly underneath Chopper 9, there's a safe distance. But perhaps there's a home or someone this person knows in this area. But again, I expect you're going to see some police cars on the ground coming into this area very quickly to try to find this person who is here in the woods. And again, they are obscured mostly from view by the lush summer foliage here in this neighborhood. You can see backyards right there and people
right in someone's backyard. And again, this person jumped out. It appears he's very aware now that he is being tracked. He knows that he was being followed by police and then became aware of the choppers above him. And so it seems like he has chosen this wooded area to try to conceal himself, but it looks like he has run into the backyard of someone here and is trying to hide among the trees after hitching a ride on a train for a brief period of time.
There it looks like we see at least one CMPD cruiser pulling up to the curb right here, and expect to see there's one more coming up right behind as Snoopy continues to soar overhead like a hawk circling this area. They have the ability to switch over to infrared at certain times to look for heat signatures. Not sure if they would need to do that at this point. The person running appeared to be a very young man, not sure of what age, but at least a teenager who dangerously was clinging between two train cars on the tracks because the car they were in was blocked at a train crossing. Chased the train down. You see the tracks at the top of your screen. Hung on for several hundred yards and then hopped off in this area. You can see that train has now come to a stop. Perhaps engineers were aware somebody was on the train, and for safety they decided to stop. and you can see there how close the train tracks are to this area. Where you see the tall trees at the bottom of your screen, that's about where he ran into the woods.
Well, right now we are live at 422. If you're just joining us, we've been following this chase for the past 45 minutes to an hour. My producer telling me that we have this video to show you now. Going back a short time, this is when the vehicle had to stop for the train. We saw the young man jump out of the driver's seat, and he proceeds to run with 2 pieces of clothing in his hands. Then he ditches that, runs right along the railroad track for some time, when he then decides to jump on this train and hitch a ride on it. He gets in between 2 of the cars eventually, rides along there kind of straddling himself between it. You're going to see that in just a moment. And then he picks a point to jump off in a wooded area behind someone's yard. There he goes. He drops his white T-shirt. And then he decides to jump onto the side of this train, a very dangerous maneuver, takes himself between there, and then proceeds to ride along in the middle of the cars. There you see him climbing up. He looks up at the chopper for a moment. And this is taking you back to the beginning. When we started to follow this, just at about right before 4 o'clock, he was driving this black Honda along I-85 North in West Charlotte. We saw it exit the Billy Graham Parkway area onto Freedom Drive and then over onto Allegheny, running through some roads, swerving through parking lots, blowing past people on the wrong side of the road, disobeying all of the traffic laws before he eventually had to stop for that train.
If my producers could pass along exactly what street we're looking at right here, that would be very helpful to folks who might live in this area to know that this person is the police looking for this person in this area, if anyone knows. There were so many twists and turns. We can tell you that there were at least 2 other people in the car, Erica, because you saw that person got out of the back on the driver's side, and then there was at least another person on the passenger side, and then, of course, somebody in the front seat. You see officers here now. These are live pictures, once again, from Chopper 9, and you see all those officers.
They've got the dogs out.
Got a K9 unit out there. They have their guns drawn right now, so a very serious situation. Within short order, this police dog, this K9, this German Shepherd, should be able to pick up a scent and at least track where that young man went. As you talked about earlier, him clinging to that train, at one point it got very dangerous. We thought he was going to slip and fall in between the train cars, which could have ended very tragically for him. So right now we're going to watch as he releases now the dog. Maybe it has a scent. He certainly did leave a T-shirt back on the side of the tracks, which if they could go back and get that, they could give that to the dog to help get a scent to track him down. But they're looking somewhere in here. You can see that there appears to be trails. Oftentimes in areas like this that seem kind of like they're in the middle of nowhere, it's a cut through for people. So there could be walking trails. Perhaps he's familiar with this area. Again, right here next to these train tracks, and Chopper 9 Sky Zoom zooms out here. And again, you can see there were homes within 100 yards of where they're looking.
Yes, when we finally saw or lost the individual when he ran into that the tree-lined area, it was in the backyard, it appeared, of someone's home. I know the last time that we covered one of these cases of a car chase, the people inside the house were actually watching the news, and they knew and looked outside and saw the person right outside in their front yard. So again, this is, I'm being told, near Wilkinson Boulevard. This is the sky view of this area just off Wilkinson Boulevard in this neighborhood full of homes. And so people at home right now inside may not know that a police pursuit, a search is going on right in their backyards. Again, the police have the canines out, multiple officers now out on foot, some of them with their guns drawn, trying to find this individual who appears to be hiding in this neighborhood. So
this is the Westover Hills neighborhood. If you are just joining us now, for about the past 30 minutes, we followed this police chase, which has ended near the train tracks here. The Westover Hills neighborhood is right now where police are looking for this person. That neighborhood is right next to the train tracks. That's between Wilkinson Boulevard and the Highway 21 right there. And so there's also a large park. Revolution Park is in this area. You've got Greater Mountain Sinai Baptist Church as well, Parker Height Apartments, generally in that area. That is where they're looking right now, again, up against this train track right here. And Chopper 9 Sky Zoom has been with Snoopy now for the past 40 minutes, following along on this chase, as we have seen at least one person get out of the car and run to this area. We believe two others in the car, unless the driver jumped into the back and jumped out. about 2 other people in the car, and at this point we're not aware of their fate because they were stopped by this train, and the train did completely stop, so presumably could still has stopped and blocked off that intersection right now. And again, this train, we believe, may have stopped because they were alerted to the fact or saw that somebody was running behind the train, because he ran for, Erica, a good 200 yards.
At least.
Next to that train, and they have mirrors, they can see what's going on along the tracks, and as soon as they saw him climb on, they probably hit the brakes. It took them several hundred yards to stop. They weren't going very fast because the young man running was just as fast or faster than the train, so perhaps they just took off from a rail yard, which is not too far away from here, and we're just getting started on their journey. Again, you can see the police helicopter, which is now up in this area. In this street right here, we see 2 CMPD cruisers, and police are out right now, maybe presumably knocking on doors, telling folks to stay inside and to just do their job. Didn't see any indication of a weapon or anything like that on the young man as he was running. In fact, he had no shirt on. Another police vehicle right there. But we have seen police dogs out there looking for the person after this all started when they were in a black Honda, and it would not stop for officers. Right
now, we are live and Eyewitness News at 428. If you're just joining us, we've been covering for the past hour a police chase that started along I-85 North in West Charlotte. The person driving a black Honda would not stop, eventually getting off of the Billy Graham exit onto Freedom Drive, Allegheny, swerving between neighborhoods. And then we followed the vehicle as it had to stop when it came to this train crossing. We saw a young man jump out of the driver's seat. He took off running for about 200 yards right along the side of the train. We're going to replay that piece for you now. The individual jumps out of the driver's seat and then proceeds to run along, and for a time jumps onto the train and rides along with it until he gets to this neighborhood. And this is in the area of Wilkinson Boulevard and Skyview, where we eventually saw this young man jump off and go into a wooded area. We saw at least 5 to 10 police officers on foot now, and they have their guns drawn, looking in that wooded area for this man when he eventually jumped off. Again, we have 2 crews now on the scene on the ground to cover this for you. Again, we have Chopper 9 Sky Zoom in the air. We're going